I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity for Legacy Partners, EVAs and VAs, and we're in the core thinking. And so we've gone through, hopefully, you've gone through the four levels of coaching, creating friendships, and then trusting the integrity of the system, and then fixing things at a core level, and then speaking and listening, and then project and task management, and then not getting locked in frequency and more. And so this one's going to be in an algorithm for how we think. So we're going to use a real example, a real live example from last evening with Nora, Mary Jo, and I. But an algorithm is it's what they use in computers, or it's called a macro too. Like it's a series of steps. And so when we make a decision, when we all make decisions, we make it based on an algorithm. How we have different factors that go ahead and govern how we make decisions. And so it's important for us to think about, why am I making the decisions I'm making? And are those the best decisions? So a lot of times people don't make the best decision, and they fix it on a symptom level, not the core. So most of the time, what I'm talking about is not what I'm talking about actually. This creates confusion for people. Um, and so I'm talking about something specific, but I really want to talk about the core. Because if you fix things at the core level, if you fix things at the core level, um, then you fix a whole bunch of things. It's almost like you have dandelions in your yard, and you don't want dandelions in your yard, and so you mow the dandelions over, and problem solved, right? No, because you didn't get it at the root. So most people are not fixing things at the root. So we're not fixing things at the root level. And so at the core level. So if you don't fix things at the core, you're going to continue to go ahead and have issues. You're going to continue to have challenges because you're going to continue to have problems. Questions on any of this or thoughts?
Nope.
And so our decision making is largely based on our personality. Our gender does come into it, but I think it's more driven based on our personality than it is on um, than it is on our gender or even our age or our education or our background, like how we were raised, all of those kind of things. Our personality is very much. But Elaine and I are going to, because she's a similar personality as I am. So she's a similar personality as I am. And so she and I are going to have the same algorithm. We're going to have the same processes. So it's something actually in the brain. It connects in the brain. And so she and I are going to see the world in a similar way. And so questions. So it's important. You need to be self-aware. Why am I making the decisions that I'm making? What factors are there in a decision? So let's go ahead and say there's 5 factors in a decision. So let's use Nora as an example. Okay. So, well, for this one, let's use Mary Jo. So Mary Jo is, so we tend to go ahead and like other people who are like us, and we tend to fall in love with people who are opposite of us. So Rosanna is very much opposite, but she's not 100% opposite as I am. And so I'm a driver, analytic driver. She's an amiable, analytic, amiable. And so she's not the direct opposite. Actually, Mary Jo is more of an opposite than I am. She's an amiable, expressive. It's not a perfect opposite, but it's really close. So perfect, inner quadrant is a 55-55. A perfect opposite in people in a connection relationship is going to be a 10-10-10-10. So I think that Mary Jo and I are maybe at 10, 10, 9, 11 or something, which is almost. And so we're going to be almost exact opposites. So our algorithms are going to be, and so if there's 5 factors in a decision, so you have these are in making a decision. If there's 5 factors, and both Mary Jo and I see the same factors, are we going to make the same decision? We both consider the same factors. Are we going to make a similar decision, the same type of decision?
Sometimes.
Most of the time, not, because we're opposites. So let's go ahead and make it easy. And let's say there's 3 factors in a decision. So if there's 3 factors in a decision, let's say there's 2 factors, make it even easier. There's 2 factors in a decision. Why would you come up with a different? Because of weighting, how much we weight each factor. So factor A, I give it 80%. Mary Jo might only give it 20%. Factor B, I give it 20, but she gives it 80. So what I'm going to factor, when you look at personalities, I'm going to factor in the driver and the analytic. I'm going to factor in control and structure. Rosanna is going to factor in conflict. With me, I'm not going to factor that in. It's like, you know what? Conflict's a part of life. It's often what's required to get through it. So it's not going to be. Conflict, I go ahead and actually, when I see conflict, I'm like, if it's substantive, if there's something of substance there, it's probably going to have conflict. It just will. So she will avoid conflict. She will run from it. I will go ahead and run towards the conflict, not because I like conflict. I hate it. It just is so stupid to me. But I know it's a necessary evil because that's what's going to have to happen to go ahead and make a breakthrough. There's probably going to have to be conflict. And so she's going to avoid it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run towards it. So this is why it's strange with me, because if people will go ahead and rise up and challenge, if somebody rises up and challenges Rosanna, typically they're going to think they're getting their way. She will typically give in, but she's not giving in fully. She's giving in on the surface, not underneath. So the amiable will go ahead and say yes, but then do something totally different. Like, it's weird. It's like, are we in agreement? Yes. Okay, we're in agreement. Then she'll do something totally different. It's like, wait a minute, I thought we had an agreement. Well, I didn't hear you with this or that. There's some reason. All right, so let's use another example. So Nora texted Mary Jo and I, last night and said, hey, is it okay if I work from home? So there's an algorithm I have in making that determination. We don't even think about it, we just respond. And then there's an algorithm that Mary Jo has. So we were talking earlier, Mary Jo actually said, I actually thought about my algorithm, which is unusual. So going forward after this, you should always think about your algorithm, because what in brain science, when we go ahead and think it ought to be done this way, what happens is we don't see when we fail. It's weird. So we do the same thing over and over again. If you know anybody that makes the same stupid decision over and over again, that's what's happening. They don't see it. They don't see where they're making a bad decision. They don't see where they could be making a better decision. There's the walls of opportunities where you go over the wall, under, the left, to the right, blow it up, tear it down. Somehow, some way, we're going to make a breakthrough. Bigger wall, thicker the wall, the harder it is to make a breakthrough, the more important it is that we make a breakthrough. And so if every problem, every challenge, there's 6 different options you can take. So what if we try going around the wall and that doesn't work? And then we go to the right and that doesn't work. And we go over the wall and then it works. Like what is that? like, what does that do? What happens once we find something that works?
The first thing you try.
Okay, so we tried the first, it didn't work. We tried the second, it didn't work. There's 6 ways, a minimum of 6 ways to do something. So the third way it worked. When we think something works, what do we do?
Keep doing it that way.
We keep doing it that way. Even though the fourth way or fifth way or sixth way might be better, we never get to the third, fourth. This is where, as a little boy, I was 9 years old, and I was at Camp Fairwood. And I went ahead, and my dad was the, dean. And I said to my dad, "Hey, can we go fishing, you and I?" He's like, "Ah, Mark, pretty, busy." And so, like, Dad, I really want to go fishing. He said, "If you can find an adult to go fishing with you, then, you can go fishing." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I go find this man, this guy, and I say, "Hey, can you take," my dad said I could go fishing. And he said, "Sure. We just need to take, my 5-year-old daughter," which I didn't care, like, whatever. So we go down, and, I've been at the camp many times. And we go down, and his 5-year-old daughter says, "Daddy, I want to fish here." I'm like, "Well, that's not a good place to fish." I knew I'd been there many times, and this was not the best place to fish. Didn't know. Like, so I'm like, "No, this is better fishing." And so I knew it. I had more experience. I had everything. And then there's this 5-year-old girl, and she wanted to fish there. Where did we fish?
Or she wanted.
Yeah. What did I learn as a 9-year-old boy?
Girls get everything.
Girls are powerful. Man, they're powerful. Even with men, like, he was a man. Like, I knew more. I was more than twice as old as her. I had experience. I knew everything. She got her way. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. Like, that's very interesting. So as a 9-year-old boy, I'm studying, and I'm looking at the world and trying to figure out the world. And it's like, okay, boys and girls, and how does this whole thing work? And he didn't make, but how? I'm like, "Why would you think this is a good place to fish?" To the little girl, she says, "I saw somebody catch a fish there." Okay, like, one fish. Like, it's just, so we're learning from life and looking at different things. And so so Nora asked to go ahead. Nora asked, can I work from home today rather than coming into the office and working together? So what's your algorithm, Mary Jo, in that?
I'm just taking into account what I believe are important factors for her.
Okay. And what was your,
Is
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So what was your decision? So first, I saw it first. So I said, whatever you all decide is fine with me. Um, so was I being honest in that situation, or was I being like a woman?
Most likely you were being like a woman.
What does that mean?
You were trying to see what decision we can come up with on our own.
Well, interesting. I don't know. That's not my experience with women, but my experience with women, I'm a man, but my experience with women is that when they tell you something that's not necessarily true. Are they lying? No, 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 they're not lying. They're women. It's okay. It's okay for a woman to, like, do I need to get you something for Valentine's Day? No, it's fine. I need to get something for your birthday. No, no, I'm good. So when you ask a woman something, she'll tell you that it's not really necessarily the truth. So are men like that? They might be more like that than women are. I don't know. I'm a man. So I see women, and I see the oddity of women, but it's often harder for me to see a man because I'm a man. So I see within women, I said, it makes no sense. How am I supposed to know what you want if you don't tell me what you want? Well, you got to learn to read all the nuances. This is true in business too. So what? So so I have this inner conflict, this massive amount of inner conflict. Now, did Nora know that I was going to have all this inner conflict, that this decision to work from home today? Did she know that I was like there's so much inner conflict that I have in there? Did she know that?
I did not.
Okay, yeah. So women like to please men. They just do. They like to serve them and they like to help them and they like to feel needed and stuff like that. So are men like that with women?
To an extent, I think.
It might be. I just don't want the drama. I don't want the conflict. I don't want them ticked at me. I don't want them talking to all the other women and they're all going to gang up on me. I don't like that's what it is. It's like that's like so I have this inner conflict, and the inner conflict I have is like, okay, so Nora is like a single mom, or so I'm like, so I'm going to be a lot harder on Nora than I am the other women. Nora, are you okay with this? So,
Yes, that's fine.
so, so, so when she says that, what do I have to? So decision making. So, what is that? When she says that, what does that mean? So I can't see her face. I need to see her face, because if I can see her face, but then women have all these weird things, like they shake, like Katie this morning. She's saying something, but her head's doing the opposite of what she's saying. And so the body language of women is confusing. It's like, no, but your head is going up and down. Do you want this? No. Do you want this? Yes. I'm like, what? And so even when you see a woman, you're like, okay, what is she really saying? Like, and does she even know what she's saying? She doesn't, because she hasn't worked with me long enough to know what she's really saying. She doesn't. So I have this huge, this huge inner conflict, and I'm like, and so there's so much pressure and so much. So both Mary Jo and I have, like, Lincoln, and he's 2.5. Like, so we both have all this empathy for her, and it's like, yeah. And, she's been doing great and everything. And so, yeah, it's fine. So we both say yes, but we might have hurt her, and we didn't intentionally hurt her. Like Mary Jo didn't say, how can I hurt her? I'm going to hurt her. I'm going to say yes to her. Like, so Mary Jo can be thinking, I'm going to help her. Mark can be thinking, I'm going to help her. But being a husband and being a father of now growing women, I want to say yes to my wife. I want to, for my daughters and my 6 granddaughters. I mean, men just love saying, yeah, they just do. They want to make them happy. It's not because men are so amazing. It's they don't want the drama. They want to get back to work. They don't want all the distraction. I don't know. So I want to, and so Nora might think, well, Mark's being really nice, when I'm not. Like, I'm not being nice. So she can think I'm being nice when I'm really not being nice. And so there's all of this, there's all this inner conflict, but it's okay, because it gets me wound up for pickleball. So I can go to pickleball and I can let that ball get all that frustration out of me. So Nora's like, wow. Like, she just, like, man, I just feel sorry for Mark, his social. Are all men like this? Like, do they, like, I don't mean to give him so much trauma. I don't, like, so much stress, so much, like, like, am I hoping that Mary Jo is going to say no? Like, no, you need to come in. I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling. Like, I don't know what I'm thinking, but questions, thoughts, everyone? So,
Nope.
so the world is a ugly place, a messy place. Business is just hard. It's like you can be a cute zebra and get eaten. Like, the marketplace is brutal. Like the marketplace doesn't care. Even your customers who like you, like when Jonathan died, 5 years ago, next Tuesday is the anniversary, like that whole day, and then the next week, and how our customers, like Ken Bucci, he went ahead and sent us a whole bunch of food, which was just like he had a caterer and he just sent us a whole bunch because we had all the family and all this stuff. And I mean, it was amazing to me how much people cared. But I understood they had a business to run, and they do care, but they don't. And I've got to serve them no matter what happens in my life, no matter how tragic, no matter how hard it is. And so, as a mom, especially a single mom, it's hard. It's hard to own your own company. It's hard to go ahead. And so, how do you balance all of these things out? And so, it's just complicated. So the decision, there's so many lessons to unpack here and how do we consider one another, and how do we think about that, and how do we know all of these things? And what you see is like an iceberg. What I'm sharing, there's so much underneath the iceberg. There's so much that could be shared. It's crazy. Questions?
No.
So next time, Nora's like, she's going to be nervous, which I'm fine with. Like, I'm getting older, so she's got to be considered. Like, man, I don't want to give more stress. No, it's okay. You do it. So, your algorithm, why you think the way you think, and brain science is the decisions you're making may not be the best decision, and you may not even know it. There may be a better decision that you could be making and you don't even know it. Each of the different personalities will look at things in a different way. And so how we process this and go through this is it's not easy. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.